Welcome again, Wastelanders, to the end of the world. For Fallout, the end of the world is sort of seen as a reset button, a time for humanity to think about what it is before its second chance on the roller coaster called Earth. In the Planet of the Apes, the end of the world means that humanity needs to step aside and to let ape kind to the front of the queue for their turn on the super fun happy ride. In this week's movie, however, we get the real end of the world, where there is no line, there is no ride. Not for humanity, not for ape kind, and not for any passively violent death cults. Stop the podcast, I want to get off. We're talking Beneath the Planet of the Apes.
Hello everybody and welcome to Pod Never Changes, a Fallout Movies podcast where we ask the question, how Fallout was that movie? I'm your host this week, LJ, and I'm here with, who is it?
Ricky, as always.
Hello. I don't give the same build up that you do, but the same confusing build up that you do.
It's called hype.
Yeah. It is that. This is a podcast where we basically go through, as big fans of Fallout, the video game franchise, we go through an array of different films that are Fallout-like in some way and assess how Fallout they are through our GREAT rating system. That is GREAT. Great rating system. We'll assign points, we'll rank the films, and at the end of the seasons show, we will come to the conclusion of which Fallout film is the most Fallout. This week we've got Beneath the Planet of the Apes. So we'll run through that.
This was chosen by you for
it was
a very, very specific reason, I think, which we'll get into.
We will, yeah.
But it's not one that I think if I was thinking Fallout, I would never have thought of a Planet of the Apes movie.
No.
But then again, having watched it, yeah, okay, I get it.
Yeah, it was one that I just happened to have on anyway, and then I was like, we just, recorded the first episode of this podcast, and I thought, yeah, this is hitting a few notes, so it ended up being a bit of a rogue suggestion that wasn't on our massive list that we've compiled. That's what we'll be doing. We'll be running through the film, a little bit of background on the film. We'll go through our great rating system, assign points, have a little debate, and then we've also got a little secret twist that we do at the end as well as just a general film review as well, because we're film buffs, so we'll be doing a bit of that.
Don't say film buffs.
Film watchers.
Yeah.
We watch films.
We're elite film enjoyers.
Film bros. Yeah.
No. Come on.
Yeah, I think so. Cool. All right. So, yeah, how you feeling about the film?
Broadly I enjoyed it. It's an interesting pick to go. Considering last week we watched Mad Max 2, which is like, there's so much when you watch it of like, it's like when you look at a meme and then you watch a movie about the meme and you're like, they made a whole movie out of this meme, and it's like, no, it's the other way around. It's kind of like that. And whereas with this, I think this is more what we're going to get a lot of, I think, in this series here of we're watching movies that have clear maybe influence or maybe genre influence as well, who knows, but there's a lot of you can see it in there. Maybe we're reaching and grasping, but it could be coincidence, but there's a lot of similarities and a lot of interesting one-to-ones here.
Yeah, exactly. I think there'll be an ebb and flow. I think some films will be a subtler influence and some will be like, this is just Fallout on screen, basically. What is your favourite Fallout game? Why? And what are the elements in a Fallout game that really appeal to you? What's the hook for you?
it's a tough one, right? Because the earliest games were I only started at Fallout 3 and New Vegas, right? And so New Vegas I got a lot of love for, and the depth and the detail in it and is so like mind blowing with me. But then with 4, it's a tough. 4 was like I felt like the missions were straightforward a bit more, like the factions weren't kind of as crazy. And then with Fallout 76, it was so mad and wild. And as I said before, janky. But there's something. Man, I think people would hate me for it. But I'm right now. It could change tomorrow. Right now, I think it's 76.
Wow, that's a bold choice.
I like it has a bit of everything. Like, it does have hardcore mode, whatever you want to call it, like extreme. What's the mode where you have to eat food and drink, otherwise you die?
I think it's survival mode.
Is that survival? It has a bit of survival in it. You have water and there's effects. There's radiation, and then it can cause mutations. You can build more weapons. You can, without having to have a mod, you can build your own legendary weapons. It's very randomized, but like it's got these small incentives to keep playing. And
I think one thing I'd say about it is that obviously, I said it's a bold choice because it was very negatively received. I think on announcement, people were very against an online Fallout, and then it had a pretty bad launch in terms of it was very buggy. It was missing a lot of features. I jumped in when the Wastelanders update came in because I was really looking for the NPCs as part of the storytelling for me. And I actually really enjoyed my playthrough of it at that point. I probably will circle back to it. But to be fair to it, it seems like they've grown the game, right? And the community around it has become quite invested in it as well.
Yeah. They've expanded the map a few times, right? To include new things. And it's also, because there's fewer online players, it's closer to a single player thing. There's not enough plot in it, unfortunately. It's still trying to push it being an online game. So there's not enough story things that pop up that you can do and narratively go through these things. And there's not, like you say, not enough NPCs and stuff. But there's a lot of things in it to keep you interested. If I was going like narratively, then it would be New Vegas, right? But the one that I enjoy at the moment, I think is 76. I'm having a lot of fun. I have a lot of fun with it. What about you?
Oh, for me, it's probably the easy answer. It is New Vegas. I think it's the one that I've played the most because, I mentioned last week I'd gotten into Fallout 3 first, but quite soon after New Vegas came out. So I really did like one big playthrough of Fallout 3 and then jumped into New Vegas. And then it was that until Fallout 4, sorry, basically, which was like, I don't know, 5-6 years later. So I just played loads of it, and I just like the choice and consequence in New Vegas. I think it does the best job of making it feel like you're making an impact on the wasteland. The different factions have negative, positive reactions to you, and that's kind of tracked in some way, as well as the karma system, which is obviously across all the games. So I just felt like I made the most impact.
I like that you can put live grenades in people's pockets and run away. It's so chaotic.
Well,
you couldn't do that in Fallout 76, right? Could you? Like people would be so mad. They'd be like, they're just like, oh yeah, I'm just gathering logs from a camp, and then bang, and just like.
I feel like people get annoyed. But it's an interesting point though with 76 is that I do feel like where people were saying on reception, oh, this doesn't make sense, because obviously Fallout is a very single player oriented game and its history is that. But I do think, like, from a premise point of view, it makes perfect sense, right? Because if you go out into the wasteland, like, there'll be different people with different characters who are going to try and impress themselves on the wasteland in some way, whether that's in a good way, chaotic way, negative way, whatever it is. So it kind of lends itself to a multiplayer experience, really. So it does make sense.
Well, it's very Fallout in as much as people have their way of living and doing things in the vault, but then when they go into the real world, maybe they do turn into real a-holes.
Yeah,
you know,
exactly. Yeah,
maybe they do try and help a community. Who knows? Maybe they instantly join raiders. I don't know. So it does kind of have that there to it to a certain extent.
No, for sure.
So we are asking what makes this movie great. So that's G, genre. R, random. E, environment. A, aesthetic. And T, tribes. So genre, we're talking about many direct or referenced Fallout genres and plot points and quests. So like westerns or I need to go and save my family. These types of things. Randoms are like random specifics. We're thinking about super specific things that are very Fallout, like perks, dialogue, gameplay mechanisms, these types of things. Environment, we're looking at world-building lore, as well as locations. So we could be thinking about like the Wasteland, but we could also be thinking about an apocalypse. Aesthetic, so these are very much, it could be inventory items. Think of it that way, like the items that you find around, clothing, but then also things like sounds, and then the aesthetic of like gore or humor that we find in the games. So it could be country music playing, it could be pre-war food, heck, it could be an exploding body. Then we're thinking of tribes. These are the groups, but also individuals that populate the movie. Are there distinct groups? Are there raiders? Are there underground agents of devious pseudo-governments, etc.? Do we have companions? Is that a very familiar-looking robot that we see over there? So again, it's the genre, the random specifics, the environment, the aesthetic, and the tribes. And all we're going to do is, as we progress here and we talk about the movie, when we see something that fits into one of those categories, we're just going to +1 to that category. So we're going to say +1 to genre, +1 to random aesthetics, and so on. There is a cap of 6 for each category, so there's a maximum score of 30. Do we remember what Mad Max scored last week? Was it 22?
I believe it was 21 or 22. Let's have a look.
Yeah, so that's
was 21.
21. So we expected it to be pretty high, and that's the one we think is probably going to be leading for a lot of this. So as we go through, we just saw a lot of things, and we just added +1, +1, +1, that type of thing.
And then there was it actually scored a 22, but we applied a debuff.
Yes, we debuffed. So anything we take away, and so that was specifically that Mad Max as a movie is heavily reliant on vehicles, which you do not really get in Fallout. You don't have cars, you don't drive, there's no trucks, there's anything like that. So it scored a -1 there, so it went from the 22 to the 21. So that's the score. If it's still not quite making sense, I think as we progress through the plot recap, we'll be dropping in, we'll kind of mention where these points go and all the rest.
Exactly. Yeah, I think it's it'll become pretty self-explanatory as we go. We just assign points if that's Fallout, and then just which bucket it falls in. Not crazy. All right, so I'm going to give a little bit of background on the film. So it's Beneath the Planet of the Apes, which is the second film in the original Planet of the Apes. I think it's what would be the word for it? Quintology. I don't know. There's 5. I think there's 5 films in total, but there's also like some TV series or TV films as well. But the point being, is the second one of the Charlton Heston original, and he is kind of in this. It's from 1970, kind of science fiction genre. There is some background in there that suggests it's a post-apocalyptic science fiction, directed by Ted Post. Who did you know? Ted Post? I don't believe I'd heard of Ted Post prior to this.
I don't think I know the name. No.
It looks like he directed Magnum Force, which is a Clint Eastwood film. Hang 'em High, which is kind of interesting actually. So Hang 'em High is another Eastwood Western. which is interesting to note because one of the things that I noted about this film is that Sergio... No, sorry, not this film. It wasn't this film. But there is a sort of Western element to it. There's a connection to it that I'll later allude to.
We're recording at the start of January 2026, and I just looked at my Letterboxd for 2025, and it tells me that I watched 12 Chuck Norris movies last year. One of which was Good Guys Wear Black, directed by Ted Post, I think.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Wow.
There we go.
So I believe I've seen... Oh, wait, did he do an episode of Columbo? Oh, I'm liking him more and more.
I guess he did sort of like those slightly oddball pieces through the 70s,
oh,
into the 80s.
He did one with Ricardo Montalban. That's great. I mean, oddball. I'll have you know, season 1, episode 1 of Columbo was directed by Steven Spielberg, mate. So
wow, okay,
wind your neck in. Yeah,
that's true. A lot of westerns by the looks of it. Anyway, so yeah, starring James, if I can pronounce his surname correctly, James Franciscus, who I hadn't come across before. He's kind of a Charlton Heston lookalike knockoff.
There's a great joke later where somebody who knows Charlton Heston's character from the first one sees him, and because she's an ape, and I just like the joke. She went, Taylor, and it was a little joke about how apes can't tell humans apart, and I was just I like that little joke that he's very much a younger, more handsome version of Charlton Heston.
I think that was entirely the casting. Yeah, it was let's just get a younger looking Charlton Heston, and then we've got Linda Harrison as what is her name? Nova, the mute Nova. Yes, at a budget of 2.5 million.
Whoa. You didn't mention the apes, dude.
Well, yeah, I wasn't going to list the entire cast because there's a lot. There's a lot in there. Is there anyone of note that you had come across?
Who plays Cornelius?
Well, yeah. So this was another little piece of trivia: is that this is the only film in the original set of films that doesn't have the McDowell in here as Cornelius. So yeah, Roddy McDowell is not playing Cornelius. Instead, we have
shameful. No Roddy
yeah,
McDowell.
I don't know why. I think it was just like a scheduling conflict or something. I think that's what happened. It wasn't actually like they didn't want them. Yeah. Anyone else of note? We've got a bunch of apes, but who are weirdly not in the film very much. Yeah. But yeah, those three are starring. We've got plenty others. I'm sure we'll touch on them as we go. But yeah, budget of $2.5 million, and it made $19 million at the box office. Reviews wise, not especially positively reviewed. We've got a 37% Rotten Tomatoes from the critics and a 38% from the audience. 6 out of 10 on IMDb, which seems oddly high, and then 2.8 out of 5 on Letterboxd. So not the best, but we may deviate from that. We may not in our reviews section later on.
So first, it's a sequel to Planet of the Apes. We need to really talk about, if we're going to talk about the start of this film, we need to have a quick recap of the Planet of the Apes, because it picks up where Planet of the Apes finishes. So Charlton Heston is an astronaut, Taylor. And he's an astronaut called Taylor. He's not a tailor for astronauts. For whatever reason, he's returning to Earth. Something happens. He lands on what he believes is another planet where things are upside down, where apes are the rulers. They can talk and they rule, and they think and they politic, and humans are inferior and do not speak. That's the kind of the society that they live in. Heston is taken captive. They treat him like all the other humans that don't talk until they realize he can speak. They think it might be a trick or he's parroting things, etc. But the ape scientists, Cornelius and Zira, they're scientists or doctors, I think, they take an interest in him. During this time, Taylor and the scientists clash with others, military strongmen or whatever, and things who kill him, do these things, slice his brain open. They think it's weird that on this planet that a human is talking, etc. We learn that because basically their belief structure might go upended if humans are not inferior to ape. I think there's a lot of satire in here and politics, of course, I imagine in here. And so Taylor escapes with his mate, Nova, mate in a very zoological term, and the who's a much younger woman than him. And the Nova and the scientist apes and Dr. Zaius, for some reason, are on a shoreline somewhere, heading to the Forbidden Zone, and Dr. Zaius is basically saying to them, you don't want to know the truth. If you keep going into there, you're going to regret it. And again, this is... Why would I care about what the truth is? I'm from Earth. This is a random planet of apes. And he goes along the shoreline, and then we get the iconic image of him realizing when he spots the ruins of the Statue of Liberty that he realizes that, oh, this is Earth. This is just Earth in the future, and this is where you get the damn you all to hell, pounding his fist in the ground, screaming. That's when the movie picks up, right?
We get a kind of actual little recap, don't we, at the beginning of the film, of just the tail end of the first film.
We get Taylor, we get them talking, he wanders into the Forbidden Zone, we see the Statue of Liberty, damn you all to hell. So I guess this brings us to our first great point, which is, I guess, environment. Is this a wasteland?
Yeah, so I think this pops up more prominently later in the film, but just generally speaking, post-apocalypse, post-nuclear, it's implied, and set way in the future, right? We won't mention the Statue of Liberty piece of it because this does pop up later on, but yeah, I think this is definitely a point here, is that the setup is... but via some other stuff is similar to Fallout.
Gotcha. Okay. So it's a wasteland. Okay. So we open there, screaming down to hell. Okay. Taylor and Nova then, we pick up, they are going further into the Forbidden Zone on horseback, which is a desert. And now we cut to, we see another spaceship that has crashed somewhere else. We see two survivors. We got the skipper and Brent. The skipper is dying, but we learn that they have been following Taylor, maybe a rescue team. And they have also crashed, and it's the year 3955 AD. Brent says, bend in time or something, etc. So I'm guessing this is not them this is them not in their times, basically. Small one for the great. I don't know if it's a big one. Aesthetic, maybe. There is a fallen space station in Fallout 76.
Yes, and isn't there a companion as well? I don't know if this is the same thing because you're more familiar with 76, but there's a companion called Sophia Degare, who is a fallen astronaut who you find.
Oh, there is.
Is that related to that?
So the space station, I think, is where the Raiders live. They've repurposed it, but maybe. Oh, so we okay. Let's.
So I had that as the point for that. It reminded me, like, just generally the concept of there being astronauts still out in space who have then landed on Earth in a very different context to what they went up in. So yeah, my call out was to that companion specifically, but yeah, there's the station. I think it all alludes to the same thing, which is folks out in space landing into the wasteland.
Okay, let's... Would that be a tribe? Would that be a companion, astronaut companion, and aesthetic?
Well, I would put it into
this?
genre because I think it's to do with the storyline less than... Because there's not like a specific companion who is like her. I think it's more the general story beat of there being astronauts who have kind of landed into this wasteland is a story point that we see in Fallout.
Interesting. Okay, let's put it into there. Let's do that. Okay. So the skipper dies, he's buried, Brent buries him, and then Nova passes on the horse, but without Taylor. She's not talking. She's a non-talking ape human, whatever, ape planet human. But Brent is it Brent or Brett? I'm saying Brent.
You're making me second guess.
I'm guessing. I don't know why.
His name is Brent. Yes,
it is Brent,
which is just such a mundane name for a main character in a sci-fi film. Right?
That's why I was guessing it. But then I was just like, is Brett any better? Not that there's anything wrong with Brett or Brent, but it's just, okay, fine, Brent.
I think Brent, okay. I just think of the UK Office, and that therefore makes it very mundane and British.
Okay, so they struggle to communicate because he talks and she doesn't. He spots she's wearing dog tags, which are Taylor's dog tags, and he's like, Taylor? Oh.
Okay, so just to stop you there, I had dog tags down as an aesthetic great point. Just because I think it's New Vegas, in one of the games, New Vegas, because you collect NCR dog tags. So dog tags are actually a very prominent little item that exists in Fallout.
Let's put it in, but
we'll put it in and we can debate it.
Let's put it in. Yeah, let's put it in. Let's put it in for now, maybe debate it, yeah. I think that's fair. Okay, so she spots the dog tags, and then we get flashbacks where we learn, I guess this is Nova's flashback, where they went into the Forbidden Zone, and suddenly flames erupted, lightning struck, the ground shook, Earth moved, and then Taylor's like, this is weird, what's going on? Like, everything's happening and it's mad, and he thinks that maybe it's a bit suspicious, maybe this isn't happening. So he kind of sends Nova back to, I think, find Zira, the scientist ape lady, and then he falls through like a mirage hologram, whatever, in the ground and disappears. Nova's scared, disappears, and that's when we get to them. I guess that's where we're all caught up. Interesting, great point. Not that it's a great point. I had to look it up. The rifle that Taylor has with him when he goes exploring here, it's a carbine.
Okay.
But which I think is a Fallout 4 Creation Club have carbines, I think. But
I'm sure they exist in the base game as well. I think carbines definitely exist.
But they modded it out a little, I think. So that's aesthetic, I think. Carbine, but it's a customized one. But can you think of what these guns look like? They look like regular guns, and then they've kind of encased them to make them look like they're mostly made of wood.
Yes.
They've got an interesting little thing there. Nova takes Brent to Ape City, where they watch from the bushes as the gorillas are debating and talking about things. So it's worth noting that each species has like an assigned personality and interest. Gorillas are the military. I think the chimpanzees, which is what Zira and Cornelius are they wear green, and I think they're scientists. But then you have Dr. Zaius, who's like their kind of leader. He's an orangutan, and they wear orange, of course. And I'm trying to figure out what their job is, because they seem to be science, or are they faith leaders, maybe? Like philosophy?
I almost did liken them to what are they called in Fallout Brotherhood of Steel? There's the scribes, is it?
Yeah.
The scribes. I kind of liken them to that. They're just like, maybe men of science and faith.
There's squires, scribes, and knights, right? I think.
Yeah.
So they've got Yeah, so it's like the knights are the gorillas, the squires are the no, I guess it's not a 1-to-1 here. The scribes would be like the learned ones, so the scribes, and then the squires are the kind of the junior knights. But okay, okay.
I was going to say though about, I don't know if this is a conversation more for when we're debating stuff, but I wanted to add a point here for just like the faction like structure of the apes. Now, the reason why I was saying this is that I feel like obviously if, you can define anything as a faction if you kind of define it in that way, but I almost like to ask the question of, would this kind of make sense as a faction in Fallout? Obviously putting aside the fact that they're apes, in terms of the way they're structured and like how you've described, it's they've all got like different colored uniforms, etc. A location with like clear, distinct kind of subcategories within them. It rings like a Fallout type faction that you would come across. Whether that would count as a point or not is maybe up for debate, but let's
add it and we'll debate it. I think.
Yeah.
Okay. Ape factions, maybe. It's maybe too uniform for me, but I see where you're going at. I started basically they're saying right now the gorilla guy who's like their general, he's called Ursus. Is that right? I'm
terrible with character names.
I'm going to call him Ursus until I get a better name for him in my notes. But
yes,
call him
Ursus. Yeah.
But he's a big gorilla with a big leather hat on, leather helmet hat type thing. And he's basically saying that we've learned that the Forbidden Zone, which we're meant to stay out of, has actually people are living there. So if they're living there, they're eating there. There's food, so we should basically quote invade. It's not subtle in its kind of in its politics here. This movie is funny, but then it's funny because a line that he said is the only good human is a dead human, and I was like, is that? I know that. Where do I know that? And I immediately went to, is this like a communist? The only good commie is a dead commie, right? Or like the better dead than red, or was it better red?
Yeah, I think it is.
I had to look it up. It's not. It's worse.
Well, yeah. So what I was going to say is that all of this is like analog for racism, right? Like,
yeah. The only apologies. This is attributed to U.S. General Philip Sheridan in the 19th century. It was the only good Indian is a dead Indian, which is horrifying. So, not quite. My mind was like, I know, it's probably Cold War. Like, no, it's probably worse.
I think it's become like regardless of its origin, it's become like this thing, this almost like this. A staple statement that is made by racists. Of various different factions.
I like, so at this point where he's saying invade, like Brent is literally saying, I got to get out of here. I got to get back up there somehow. He's like, he wants to get back to space.
He just noped the hell out of there.
He did. He just like, nope, this is ridiculous. and there's some more of that with him later, which I quite like.
I gotta get out. Yeah, I gotta get back up there. I don't know how or what with, but I'm not staying here.
They get chased away by a gorilla with a pistol. Again, I looked it up. It's a modified Smith & Wesson .32, which maybe goes into the aesthetics. Because I believe that's a common pistol from Wesson. But then again,
I think this would go to, again, we'll debate it later on around like when it counts as like an individual weapon versus generally just the array of weapons. We can debate that.
Well, we'll bulk it up and then we'll cut weight later. So I like how he just the gorilla's not really sure, so he just fires randomly into the bushes and he wings Brent. And then he wanders off, bored or distracted. He's just, it's not that interesting. There's a scene where it's like ape sauna time, where Dr. Zaius and Ursus are talking about I guess they're trying to invade the Forbidden Zone. I noted they never looked worse than here, because normally they've got their costumes, which is their head, which is maybe semi-articulate, and, gloves or something, and then they wear a costume, which is a bit bulky. Here, they're wearing full ape suits.
Yeah.
And they look really bad. Like, they looked better in the clothes.
They don't look great. And also, Ursus's face is just like, because he's in the sauna, is just wet as anything, and it just makes it look even stranger.
Yeah. So Nova takes Brent to Zira and Cornelius's place, who are bickering. Brent and Nova emerge, and Zira asks, as I said before,
Taylor?
No, not Taylor. My name's Brent.
They try to get a map, and they try and clean up his bullet wound. Zira tells Brent she's a vet, which he's not impressed by. Zeus shows up, so their humans hide. They don't have time to hide the first aid bits that they were using. So to avoid being suspicious, Zira pretends that Cornelius hit her.
There been an accident?
Cornelius hit me
Huh?
for my bad behavior at the meeting.
I don't blame him.
Oh, I don't resent it, but his nails need clipping.
Enough of this nonsense.
So they argue about whether to go to the Forbidden Zone and whether to keep their mouths shut about what they know, because they've already been to the Forbidden Zone, and Dr. Zeus is just like, just keep it shut, please. Brent then gets a map and is told, great, go this way to get to the Forbidden Zone. He gets new clothes. He's warned, if you get caught by the gorillas, remember one thing, never to talk. And then he responds, what would I have to say to a gorilla? Which I thought was a fun little joke there. Then we have Nova and Brett try to get away on their horse, but the horse is pretty quickly shot, and then the gorillas take Nova and Brent, and they're caught in a net, which was... It looked easy to avoid, to be honest, guys. I completely got caught. And then they're thrown into cages with other humans. We then get a little montage of the gorillas at their human catching training camp, where they're doing things like knocking humans off of horses. But the humans are just docile, so they're just like do, and then the gorillas are like and diving on them. It's kind of mad. And then there's one bit where there's just two gorillas are training by tossing a boulder back and forth, which was really funny to me, because on like the third catch, the guy just falls over. Like, good job, guys. Okay, they're about to be taken away to be used as target practice. In a horse-drawn cage, but Zira sneakily unlocks the cage door before they depart. So Brent and Nova escape. They knock out the gorilla that's escorting them, and they take horses, and they're then followed by other gorillas, who are gorillas on horseback, of course. They escape into a little passage somewhere to escape from the gorillas, and this is in the Forbidden Zone, and they find it's a cave passage that turns out to be a former New York subway. Yeah.
There, I was going to just pause on, adding a great point, because this is the bit that actually really did make me think Fallout, because you've got, generally with the Wasteland, the concept of fallen monuments and landmarks existing that you can unearth, in this case, underground. So that's very Fallout, right? As you come across old world monuments, in the rubble, maybe repurposed, wherever it was. Obviously, we had the Statue of Liberty, and you've got a bunch of elements here. As a separate point, I was also going to talk subway exploration, because they are in a subway, or they get to a subway, which I'd almost have as a distinct thing, because that's quite significant, especially in Fallout 3 in the Capital Wasteland. There's a lot of subway exploration, and exploration is such a huge part of Fallout.
Yeah. Where are we saying that's random specifics?
I'd say both environment.
Both environment. So we got the ruins, ruins underground, and exploring subways. I made a note. It's a great way to find a vault.
Yeah.
Usually. Okay. So Brent now has his own mini realization that we finally did it, blew the place up.
Which is the allusion to nuclear war, right?
Yes, I think it's a commonly in these, they're like the humans who are from the past now into the future now are very aware that there's a chance we might blow each other up.
Yeah.
There might be a nuclear annihilation.
Which, when the film was made in the 70s,
yeah,
that's going to be a very common kind of trope that exists.
So their reactions are generally like they're upset, but they are not shocked. Like they were able to come to that realization pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Like if you showed up and it's like, I've lost 2,000 years or whatever, and you might be like, well, it could have been anything could have happened, but they're like, no, we blew it up. We definitely blew it up.
It's an interesting.
It's not famine. It's not disease. It's not natural disaster. They were like, I know this game.
It's an interesting sidebar, isn't it? Because just to talk about like human history, prior to the nuclear bomb, I don't think humans had apocalyptic kind of visions and prophecies, etc., that came from like religion beliefs and stuff, but there really wasn't anything tangible, real world that like was this actual threat to the planet in that way. So like post nuclear bomb, like you've suddenly got this thing where we're like, if you flashed forward to like this wasteland or like a destroyed world, you'd be like, oh yeah, so we did that thing. Whereas prior to that, like I don't think we'd be able to conceive like what would actually create that devastation, which is a really real kind of like, shift in human history, right? Like the invention of the nuclear bomb.
Yeah. But then like if you have a movie like Interstellar, it's like, nah, it's just weather and
pest. And then we've got climate change as the other one.
So the gorillas decide to make their way to the Forbidden Zone. There's some of the chimpanzees are protesting, and they're like, should we just kill them? And they're like, no, we don't want martyrs. So they just move them and prison them. Like, ha ha ha. Oh, they're just like humans, aren't they? These guys, they don't realise. So Brent and Nova are still underground in the subway. They hear a hum and they follow it. We go further into the subway and the tunnels and eventually to what looks like the underground ruins of New York. So we see the New York Public Library, a bus, the Stock Exchange, Radio City Music Hall, and then there's a sign for Fifth Avenue. And then eventually a large cathedral-like doors are shown. So I Googled Fifth Avenue Cathedral, and I'm like, I think this is supposed to be St. Patrick's Cathedral, maybe a real-life cathedral. If there was a New York, I guess, Fallout game, these are all going to be probably the landmarks, right?
Yeah, I think people have talked about a New York Fallout game, and I think the general consensus from the fan base is that based on lore, New York is too destroyed to have a set in there. It's just complete wasteland.
But think of the mutants, man. Think of all the stuff. Maybe it'll be a Brotherhood of Steel one. They're like, we got to reclaim.
Yeah,
we're going to go in and expect it to be empty, and it's not. Okay, so they stop for water whilst they're underground here. This is Brent and Nova still. And then Brent is overcome by the desire to drown Nova in the water here. He starts to do it, and then he fights it off. I feel really bad for Nova in this movie because she has a really terrible time of trusting people, and then he tries to drown her here. Some things happen later. She's just like when she was following Taylor, and then Taylor disappears into the mirage, whatever, in the desert. She's shocked then. Like the whole thing is just terrible for her, this entire film. So Brent kind of fights off the urge to drown her, and he runs into the cathedral doors, and he sees a guy who is praying to what appears to be a giant unexploded bomb. Lovejaw, what do we have? I think this is why you wanted to watch this movie, right?
It was. Like, I mean, up until this point, we've had, allusions to Fallout-esque stuff, but this is like the most specific thing that I think makes this film a great Fallout analogy is we've got the Church of the Children of Atom, or the Children of Atom, who are a nuclear bomb worshipping cult who pop up in Fallout 3, 4, and I think apparently even Fallout Shelter as well, but I've not played enough of it to know.
So we got the Children of Adam. They are wearing robes, and they're wearing other things that we'll come to later. But they're wearing robes, praying to the big unexploded bomb. Brent starts chatting with the guy, but the guy's not moving his lips, and there's nothing can be heard. So they're psychic, basically. There's a lot of this. He's taken to a room where a council mentally roast him by asking him questions and stuff. They seem a bit sadistic, but they are constantly being like, "Oh no, we don't hurt people." And it's like, you do. You just don't use your hands, you jerks. Okay, these guys. I don't like these guys at all. One guy really likes torturing him. Clearly, it's like his thing. It's like, can I do it, please? He mentions Ape City, and then they all freak out and get excited. And then so they say, okay, let's just talk with our lips because we're overwhelming him. And they say that the bomb is a holy weapon of peace. Their weapons aren't real; they're just illusions. So they cannot actually defend themselves, especially if apes invade. Again, Nova's brought in, and they use Brent to choke her. And again, poor girl. Cannot trust anyone. Brent gives in and is like, yeah, I'll just tell you whatever you want. Stop hurting this poor bloody woman, you bastards. So now we have Ursus, Zeus, and the gorilla army now en route. There's nothing that suggests they have ever found the keepers of the holy bomb. That's the Children of Atom analogues. They're called the keepers of the holy bomb, I think. They've never found the cathedral or anything like that, but they're going in that direction somehow anyway. And then they are shown, suddenly they see hundreds of other gorillas crucified upside down and in flames. And they all panic and they're all freaking out. And they're like, oh no, we need to go away. They're killing all these people.
Which, just before you reveal what that is, kind of reminded me of Caesar's Legion, or Caesar's Legion.
Did they do them upside down?
Not upside down, no, but just generally the crucifix. Yeah.
Is that a random specific?
Yeah, I think so.
Random events. Crucifixion, we say. A crucifixion. I can't spell when I'm making my notes. So they're shown upside down, and then they're like, I can't believe it, what's going on? Then there's a giant statue of their lawgiver, who's like their god, I guess, who's crying blood and bleeding from its head. Dr. Zaius is like, it's all ridiculous. I know this is not real. He rides into the flames to show him it isn't real. Simulation over. Apes march on, and then they find the ruins of a city. But it's the city above. They're not below or anything yet. But they found a city which we've not seen before. And it's all ruins. Is this a great
does that
moment?
Does that visual count as a point? I feel like the visual is very... Capital Wasteland, it reminds me.
I would say, yeah. I'd like to, yeah, let's do that. I'd say so. That's an environment or aesthetic, do we think? Or genre?
I guess environment.
It's a wasteland.
Like, it very specifically reminds me of Fallout 3, I'd say, and maybe some of what we see in Fallout 4.
Okay. Okay, so they're marching in on those. Now, Brent and Nova are now invited to witness the Holy Bomb guys have a church service when they're in the cathedral, and they do something where they reveal their inner true self to the bomb, which involves taking off an item of their clothing. Psych, it's not an item of clothing. They take off their faces, which are no longer smooth human faces. They are kind of... I couldn't tell if this is meant to be radiation burns or if they're mutants. Like,
yeah, so I got both. I think that it's mutation caused by, and I also perceive this as being the telepathy as well, is that like they've just become mutated. So I don't know how many points that counts as, but yeah, it's...
Where are we sticking that? Aesthetic? Random specifics?
Random specific, I think, yeah. So I described it as mutation causing perk-like abilities, telepathy. You could argue a separate point, because that mutation or the radiation proximity has created like a ghoul-like appearance.
Ghoul face,
yeah. So I think ghoul face, and then also it creating an ability for them. Presumably, like I don't think we know exactly what the origin of the abilities are, but
okay, ghoul face. That's true. Yeah, I was thinking like what that might be there. It's great at this point where when they take it off, Brent is exhausted. He's like he's kind of not quite rolling his eyes, but he's just like you like when he was like, I need to get off this planet. It's just he's going further down the I am going to explode any minute now. Like he's so sick and tired. He's just like, I wanted to go home hours ago. You know, you said you were talking to mom and dad for 10 minutes, and now I'm still here. Like he's throwing a fit at this point. It's amazing. Yeah. And then because they're at church, they sing "All Things Bright and Beautiful." Did you notice this?
No. Well, at least I didn't take note of it.
You know the words to "All Things Bright and Beautiful."
Yeah.
All creatures great and small. Oh, sorry. Yeah. All creatures great and small. All things wise and wonderful. The good bomb made us all. And when they when they sing those lyrics again, Brent is like, "Good God, I am gonna murder these people." Like,
is he thinking like this is sacrilegious? Maybe.
Well, I think he's like he knows it's ridiculous. Like the whole like this is just absurd. It's a bomb. I know it's literally a bomb. It's from my time. You know, like you're mad. You know what I mean? Like so, like yeah. He's my notes say Brent is ready to explode. So now, after this, they put all their faces back on. Brent and Nova are now locked up with Taylor, who has survived. They're pleasant. They know each other. The psychic guy... Oh, Nova's not there yet, sorry. So just Brent is locked up with Taylor. The psychic guy...
It's worth noting as well, like, Charlton Heston is not in this film. Like, he's just barely in it. You know, he shows up at the beginning and then here towards the end. I don't know, was that a budget thing? Yeah, like, what was that?
I'm not sure. But I guess, like...
I'll have a look. I'll work.
Yeah, that's interesting. You take a look, so you can figure it out. But the psychic guy who likes violence makes Brent attack Taylor. Nova spots it from outside the cage and causes the Taylor by actually talking and screaming, "Taylor!" It causes a distraction, and then they kill the jerk who likes violence, and he dies, and then he peels his face off while he dies, and is like, "Here's my inner self bomb." So Brent and Nova are now locked up. No, I got to that part anyway. So we discover the bomb is a planet-ending bomb, the Alpha Omega, I think it's called, or something, if it goes off. The apes have found a passage to the subway, and within minutes they're invading the Atom guys, who seem to have forgotten that they are psychic and they could turn the apes' brains to mush, but they just get killed easily instead. The humans escape from their prison where they've been locked up. A gorilla finds them, and Nova is shot dead. Poor Nova. This movie was not good to her. Taylor now, like, with her in his arms as she dies, is like, I know what I got to do. I figured out that this world's got to end. I think he's not saying that, but he's kind of figured it out of like, this is how it ends anyway. Let's, So we get a brief weird scene where the apes barge into a room, and there's one of the children of Atom women who's dead, and it looks like she's kind of poisoned herself. And Dr. Zaius is like examining it, and it's like, is this meant to be like a Hitler cyanide in the bunker thing, or is it that he's examining the intelligence taken to understand that bad things are coming. Like I'm trying. Do you know what I mean? Like,
it's a good point, because
I didn't know what it was for. Like, I didn't know why it was here.
They have a very low opinion of humans, so maybe maybe it was surprise at that. But
well, leading into this, like leading into them going into the room to find the woman. There's like loads of human like them busts outside, like, you know, concrete busts or whatever, and he's like, destroy them, they're disgusting. So they're just smashing them up. It's madness. So then they make their way to the cathedral. The main priest, who's kind of survived so far, he starts prepping the bomb for launch.
This is the instrument of my God.
He can speak.
Like they're a little bit taken back, the guerrillas, by like, oh, it's a man that talks. But even after being like, wow, they talk, they've got this giant bomb, wow, and then they're like, kill him, yeah,
yeah, cool story, bro. Bye.
Yeah, sweet, but me first.
Yeah, God, eh?
And then he tries to shoot the bomb, and Zeus tells him, you can't kill them, and also you might blow everything up, but he's a gorilla, he doesn't really care. There's a bit of back and forth. They try and stop them from messing with the bomb. Taylor is shot, but he's still crawling. That's Charlton Heston again. He's still crawling around. Brent goes bananas and starts shooting with a rifle, but then he is shot dead pretty quickly. With Taylor's final breath, he's after trying to reason with Dr. Zaius. Dr. Zaius is like, shut up. And then so Taylor just says,
Bloody bastard.
and then he detonates the bomb. That's pretty much it.
Yeah, and I guess just on Taylor's kind of conclusion there, I can answer the question of Charlton Heston's minimised role in this, because basically he wasn't interested in being the sequel. And then the studio head was like, no, we need Charlton Heston in this film. We need his name on the billing.
Yeah.
And so after some disagreement, Charlton Heston agreed to briefly appear on the provision that his character be killed and his pay go to charity, which is quite
nice. That's not bad.
Yeah. So it wasn't like he got paid out the ass for his appearance.
Yeah, that's it. There's a brief kind of monologue at the end where they say a planet on the star whatever suddenly blew up. Okay,
Yes.
Great. Thank you for context. So that's, I guess, the end of.
I'm kind
Planet
of
of the
curious
Apes.
as well, like having not seen. Have you seen the subsequent films? Because I'm like, wait, so what happens?
They go
in the next
back in
films?
time.
Okay.
Well, where is right now during this little invasion? Where is Zira and Cornelius?
Oh yes, isn't there a whole thing?
They're not involved in this at all, right? So they're still back at Ape City. I think they're in the subsequent sequels, and so like it's funny. Like my understanding of Planet of the Apes is, I swear I watched one of those, right? That when I was younger, and it became the Planet of the Apes by dogs and cats had an illness and all died. So they domesticated monkeys as pets, which became kind of pet slaves. And eventually one said no. And that's when they started uprising, I think.
Yes,
That's my understanding. And then I think in the ones that you're fond of, the more recent ones, it was a genetic or a experimental or something that made him a bit smarter, and then it all came from there of them.
Yeah, it was like a
plotting
cure
over
for Alzheimer's that then like was tested on the apes and it made them smart. I think when I
did
explained,
they not watch Deep Blue Sea? Come on, You don't put Alzheimer's cures into animals.
No, exactly. So I guess we want to touch on any that we've missed then that we didn't sort of that are covered. Do you have anything else that wasn't mentioned, logged as a point?
I think those are all the points that I had. I'm looking right now at my kind of notes, and I'm just thinking it's actually more than I expected. There were some real specifics there that are real specific, like the children of Atom, etc. But that was it. Should we recap it, what we've got so far for our great score?
Yeah, and I'll add any that I've got that weren't covered.
Okay, so I've got under great, so under genre, we've got, so again, that's, say, subgenre, plots, quests, humour, dialogue, specifics, these types of things about the genre. We've got astronaut falling or landing on Earth from Fallout 76. So we've got one.
So I've got a couple in there. So I think one is we added the capital wasteland into environment.
Do you think that's more genre? Is it?
Well, so no, I think that's fine. I think just the general setup of the film, it being post-apocalypse, post-nuclear specifically, set way in the future, is a very Fallout setup. So separate to anything else, I think that's an additional point in genre, the very setup of the world.
Do we call it bleak future?
I'd say post-nuclear specific, like it's very subgenre specific, like yeah.
But was there a nuclear bomb?
It's implied, right? Like, because I
post-apocalypse.
Yeah, so
it was a human apocalypse.
It's a post-apocalypse, but I think there's an implication, right, that between the worshipping of the bomb and Brent's line about we finally did it then, being the implication that we blew each other up. And I think it being in the 70s during Cold War, I feel like the implication is heavily that it's post-nuclear. So there's that. And then I was going to say, just overall, the way the plot pans out is quite a Fallout main quest type plot. So Brent awakens in a new place. He traverses a wasteland to a new location in pursuit of a friend, ends up entangled in a factional conflict and with a plot centered on a nuclear bomb. I feel like that's a very Fallout main quest setup. So I didn't want to mention it until the end because it kind of covered some of the plot elements towards the end there. Yeah,
simple quest becomes complex. Yeah.
But the specific beats are very Fallout beat ones as well. Yeah,
true, because you're going faction to faction to figure things out.
Exactly. Yeah. Great. All right. So that's genre.
Okay. So we've got 3 for genre so far. So random events. We've got the crucifixion.
Yeah.
We've got mutations for perk abilities, and then we've got ghoul faces by radiation.
Yeah, that's everything for me.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure about crucifixion, in as much as.
Well, are we locking down yet? I guess on genre we were fairly clear, right? There was nothing to debate, right?
Well, we'll self-edit, right? For crucifixion, I kind of want to drop it.
Okay.
In as much as it's used by the wrong type of people, in that it's not used by it's used as a deterrent. But then again, I guess as far as the apes are concerned, they don't know what is in the Forbidden Zone. They don't know if it's a Kaiser's Legion type tribe or what.
Yeah, I think maybe. Yeah, I think that's one thing. I think for me, it's just generally the visual motif of it. It's just I very much, that's like a very prominent image from Fallout New Vegas from the very beginning of the game. Like as you're initially going to some of the first settlements, you see some crucified people, and as you get closer and closer to Kaiser's Legion,
let's throw it in. It's random specifics, right? So let's do that there.
I think a question that we can probably ask, and I think I was thinking about as we go through episode by episode, we'll kind of build a bit more of a robust kind of criteria around what counts, right? I think And I think a question that I would ask on anything is like, is this so generic that it wouldn't just pop up in another genre film? Obviously, genre points notwithstanding, but like something like a crucifixion imagery in any of these kind of films is not going to be common, right? Like it's quite a unique little call out. So
yeah, let's keep it that. Let's keep it there. Okay, environment. So locations, vaults, lore. We've got Capital Wasteland from Fallout 3.
Yeah, which is like the imagery that we see.
We've got the underground ruins and exploring subways.
I think we can probably... I'm fine with killing exploring subways. I guess the underground ruins is really specifically fallen monuments and landmarks. That's a very distinct thing, right? Like in Fallout, you've got... in Fallout 3, the White House, that kind of thing. So very specific old world landmarks that have fallen. And then the exploring the subway thing. Now, is it a prominent thing in the film, would you say? I don't know. Like
it is, because it's in multiple scenes, right? It's they arrive at the subway and they realize what it is. And then we come back to them later and then it's like... they suddenly hear the humming and then they start exploring it.
Yeah.
And then it leads them to other things. So I'd say so. And as they explore it, there's, tunnels and different things that, that kind of are very underground in Fallout looking. Yeah. So I'm happy with this. Anything else you want to add to environment?
No, I mean, I had the Forbidden Zone equals Wasteland. The Capital Wasteland note there was specifically that shot of the city, I think. We didn't have any aesthetics, right? Yeah,
that was an environment we put in there.
Yeah. So I guess it's a question of does the Forbidden Zone, is that a stand-in for anything specific in Fallout? It made me think a little bit of. In Fallout 4, I think it is, where you've got that section in the like bottom left of the map where it's all excessively irradiated. Do you know what I'm talking about?
The something C, right?
Yes, yeah.
I don't think it's forbidden, it's just dangerous.
Yeah. So it reminded me of something like that, but it's not maybe strong enough to count as a separate point.
Yeah, it did cross my mind of what is the Forbidden Zone here, but I don't think there's an equivalent of... people are forbidden to go anywhere, right? I don't think.
No. No.
Okay. Let's try aesthetics. So aesthetics, people, sound, things, looks, whatever. You mentioned initially dog tags. I feel like the dog tags is too generic.
I would say the reason why it's not is because it's not just an item, but it's a very prominent part in, I think it's, New Vegas, where I don't know if you recall this, so you've got the bounties on Kaisar's Legion. It is, in the games, it's pronounced Kaisar's Legion, right? I think so. Yeah. You've got, if you hunt them, you take their ears. If you hunt NCRs, you take their dog tags. Or equally, if you find dog tags on NCR people, you can also just hand it in to the NCR as like, okay, you've identified and found an NCR fallen soldier, one depending on what you choose. So it's not just that it's an item in the game; it's that it's a very prominent, like bounty hunting, loot item in New Vegas.
Okay, let's keep it for now. Carbine, the carbine gun, and then the Smith & Wesson 32.
So I would keep them, but I would maybe merge them into one. Because I would say that my criteria for weapons in these films, and we kind of had this with Mad Max, where we gave a point for an array of weapons being in the game, which was kind of, you had like a bunch of melee weapons and various guns, etc. And then you had separate to that unique weapons. So in this, what I'd say is like the weapons that you do get are very kind of like old war retrofitted type weapons, and they're ones that appear in the game specifically as well. So yeah, for that reason, I would count them broadly just as like the weapon selection being very Fallout-like, but not maybe as separate points. Because otherwise, I guess if any film has like a bunch of guns in it, we could count each gun that is just a prominent gun that features in Fallout as a separate point.
Yeah. Okay, let's do the combined gun types. Let's do it, or the realm of those. So, okay, dog tags and carbine and the .32. Okay, so that's 2 for aesthetics. Anything else for aesthetics?
No.
So tribes, we're looking at the ape factions. Now, at first I was thinking, I don't know, I'm a bit skeptical because they're a tribe within themselves. But this is basically, it's Nuka World, right? Where you have the raiders are all there, but then they're all split into their own raider factions within the raiders at Nuka World. And so you are, as the overboss, I guess, you're trying to kind of navigate those politically. So I'll have that, and obviously the Children of Atom. Yeah, big +1 there for
I feel like it's almost like in my head is worth like 3 points because it's so specific. But yeah, it's definitely almost directly. I was quite surprised. I was thinking like it's hard to know, and it'd be good to ask the game developers. Did you actually see this film and reference this? You know?
Yeah,
because it's so analogous. So yeah, that's definitely a point. And then
go for it. I was going to say one jumped to my mind, but I think one's for you just coming. Go for it.
Well, mine was just I was also thinking as we go through this, there are like certain staple things that pop up, and almost as a checklist of like, is this Fallout staple in this game? In this film. So companions, like the roles of companions pops up in my head. Like, is someone functioning as a companion? For me, Nova functions as a romanceable companion. That's kind of her entire purpose in the film, really.
She is, yeah, you're right. And then complicated at the end when we meet her with Taylor again, where she's clearly like she's become Brent's companion. Great, but then when she sees Taylor, she likes Taylor still, and then dies. So then goes. But I think you're right. I think Nova is a companion. So right now for the Great, we've got 14 points. Is there any specific debuffs here? Anything that we should be taking points away for?
I don't think so. No, I don't think there was anything that popped out that was like not Fallout-like. That's not also just it being a different genre or different type of story.
So that's 14 points. Is that right? 3, 2, 3. 14 points, yeah. 14. So Mad Max 2 is still number 1.
Expectedly, yeah. Yeah,
with 21 points. We've got a 14, which is a surprise for me, for Beneath the Planet of the Apes. So how great is this movie? 14.
14, whatever that means. 14.
Whatever that means. There we go. Should we talk about Beneath the Planet of the Apes as a non-Fallout movie?
Yeah, just as a movie in general. Do you want to go first? Shall I go first?
You go first.
I'll hit you with it. I mean, as a fan of the franchise overall, I love the reboot. I love the original. I don't mind the Tim Burton one. It's all right. It's got some good bits in it. This wasn't great. It was I think the thing that struck out to me is that it was a really strange direction for a sequel of what we had. Like, I would never have expected this would be the direction that they went in from a story point of view. For me, maybe like exploring the rest of the world a little bit, introducing new factions that are not just, like hidden away underneath the planet, worshipping a nuclear bomb. It's such a random direction for things to go. I wonder if a lot of that is to do with budget constraints or, I don't know.
You could have gone with human factions, or like maybe there are intelligent humans and they went, nah,
ultra intelligent humans, mate. That's where we're going.
Yeah, or like with the new ones, it's very much like the interfactional conflicts between the apes, right? And it becomes about like a difference in ideology. I'm sure maybe subsequent films will kind of delve into that in some way. But yeah, it was just a very strange direction for the film to go. Yeah, just really odd writing choices. Charlton Heston sort of very obviously sidelined. The apes are barely like anything to do with the plot. Obviously, they form the conclusion of the film in terms of invading these bomb worshippers, but they're not the main driver, and the ape characters are not the main drivers of the plot in any way. They're kind of just almost incidental to what ends up being this through line to these, strange mutants underground. And I think overall it's a little, especially the first half of the film it's just very dull. It's almost just rehashing the first film. Like you kind of give us the plot summary of the first film, and Brent is kind of just on a fast-tracked version of what Charlton Heston is on, even to the same level of romancing the same companion. You might as well have had Brent sat down in front of a VHS copy of Planet of the Apes, and going, "Cool, got it right." You're Nova, right? Like he's just quickly going through that, and then he gets to his nope moment, and then he quickly gets away from the apes as quick as possible, right? Or it's just him evading them and then finding the keepers of the holy bomb. Exactly, yeah. So for me, it was like it was dull, and when it wasn't dull, it was really strange. So I'd given it a 2 out of 5 on Letterboxd. How about you?
I quite enjoyed it. I know it wasn't necessarily good, but it has moments, and I go through waves of, when you watch a movie ironically, you're like, ha ha ha, I'm so clever because this is such a stupid film, ha ha, right? And it's like, and I kind of go through waves of that, and then also like, don't do that, Ricky, you jerk. Like, I don't know if this movie was made for a specific point other than making money, because they clearly needed Charlton Heston, otherwise it wasn't getting made. But I like that it went a bit mad, and I like the idea that they're worshipping a bomb. Like, it's to me it's crazy and fresh, despite being 1970, I think. So
yeah,
I had fun. It's working. If you're making a movie in the 70s about Planet of the Apes that isn't the Planet of the Apes, it's not where I would logically go, but it's somewhat coherent, so I quite liked it. I'd give it 2.5 myself.
Nice.
I think out of 5. I had a bit of fun with it.
I think it kind of goes to expectations as well, because I think I was going into it watching it as a Planet of the Apes sequel. Were you going into it more as like, now I'm watching this as part of like the Fallout piece? Because I feel like you get more out of it in a way viewing it in that way, because there's a lot of nice tidbits throughout that are signaling Fallout that are appreciable.
You know what? It's funny because when I was watching it the first time, and I was just looking for that and glancing for it, but also kind of having fun. And then the second time I watched it is when I made my like plot summary notes, and I make a note that says, great in all caps, and there's just long spells where there's nothing.
Yeah. And
I was just so like there wasn't that much in it for me from the Fallout perspective, but there was still plenty there to enjoy that was non-Fallout, I think, for me.
Fair.
And there's something about there's Charlton Heston in it. Like we're gonna have to watch Omega Man, right? I think at a certain point, which is, I think it was a book, and then it's been other things, but it was eventually it became what was the Will Smith movie? Was The Last Man on Earth?
I Am Legend.
I Am Legend. So imagine, I think it was 70s Charlton Heston. How are they going to make that work? Right?
Okay. Yeah.
So there's a bit of fun there for me, and some of it is like silliness and campness, but there's also like there's something quite sincere about it that I quite like. But yeah. It's interesting for me. I'm definitely intrigued and had fun with it.
Talk to me a little bit about how, if you were doing a mod for this film, if you were doing a mod in Fallout, what would your mod be? So this mod could be anything from like a perk, a companion, a quest, or a full-on like expansion, or a gameplay mechanic maybe.
I would like maybe I would place them. I would probably place them in Fallout 76 because it keeps expanding. It has the capacity for madness. I would probably throw in somewhere a Dr. Zira and Cornelius medical team vendor. Where they are vets for humans.
Nice.
And you can go to them for medicine and maybe the occasional scavenging mission. That's, I think, where I would go. I would you would go there and they would have their bickering banter dialogue. And they would think you're pretty gross, but you'll do because they need help or whatever. But yeah, I think that's what I would go. What about you?
Gosh, so it's kind of it's tough from one perspective because obviously you've already got the Children of Atom in there as a faction. So I think it probably would just be like a Nova companion would be kind of fun.
Yeah.
She just sort of stares blankly into your soul.
Doesn't say anything.
Every time you ask her something, she just stares blankly at you.
No, I had a terrible thought though, but it's kind of in line with how she's written, which is it just a reskin of the dog?
Oh no!
Like it doesn't have dialogue or anything. You know what I mean? It's just carry this, follow me round, right?
Yeah. She's just that's a sad thought. She is really hard done by in this film, but they'll go with a Nova companion. Excellent. All right. Okay. So,
you know what? I'm going to go back to the great. I remembered what it was. What I was going to mention, and tell me if we should put this in there or not. Specifically for a plot point, so I guess this goes into genre. There's a point where you get to choose whether or not to blow up the bomb.
Yeah.
And Taylor is going through that of, do I blow up and end the world or not? And his mind is made up for him by a few things, most specifically Dr. Zayas at the end. But he's just like, yeah, do it. You don't have to do it. You don't need to do it. He specifically chooses to blow up the bomb. That's Fallout 3, right?
Yeah. It is at the very beginning in Megaton. You decide. So that's a good shout. Yeah,
choose to blow up the bomb. Let's throw that in.
Gets an extra point. Wow.
So that's 15. Wow. Okay. So, my word. 15 points. Yeah. My goodness. Okay, it's looking even better. So, should we talk about the next film?
Yes, let's do it.
So, you chose the last one, so Beneath the Planet of the Apes. So for me, I'm very tempted to go straight back to like Nuclear Wasteland, because something I like about this genre of movies, of like Wasteland movies, is that a lot of them are just Mad Max ripoffs.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of those, and they're really fun, and they do interesting things with them. But I'm going to avoid the temptation to go straight back to the Nuclear Wasteland of the Mad Max likes. And what I want is to watch 1996's The Phantom, starring Billy Zane.
Amazing. So what's the draw here?
It is the hubris comics element of this. I've seen the movie before, and my recollection and my expectations are, there's the Wildman comics, there's the comic book aspect of it, which this is a comic book movie from 1996, and it's also there's a mobster element to it, I believe, as well, which is very I can never remember the name of the what are they called?
The companion in Fallout 4, is that?
I'm thinking of the Triggermen.
Right. Yeah.
I think as well. But yeah, there's the definitely New Vegas kind of casino style ones. There we go. I have to look up bloody things like that. There's free families. Yeah, so it's that aspect and element of it. So that's kind of what I'm thinking. So I'm thinking it might be, there's a bit of that. Clearly there's an influence in Fallout of comic books and mobsters. So I feel like giving it a bit of a look there.
Nice. I'd never seen it before, so it'll be interesting to get into.
Wonderful. And that Billy Zane, he's a cool guy.
Yeah, I looked at the cast list. There's a few notable names in there, which we'll delve into next time.
Yeah. Well, fantastic. In that case, it was great fun. Good choice of movie. I know you weren't suddenly so too keen on it, despite choosing it. But I hope we have a good time next time. From me, Ricky, that's everything.
And from me, LJ. See you.
See you guys.